Here's what Sean Payton had to say to USA Today. He said, as far as the Broncos are concerned, we're not doing any of that. Quote, the Jets did that this year. You watch. Hard Knocks, all of it. I can see it coming. You remember when Dan Snyder put the dream team together? I was at the Giants. I was a young coach. I thought, how are we going to compete with them? Deion Sanders is there now. That team won 8 games or whatever. So listen, just put the work in. He didn't have to take out the Jets. He chose to take out the Jets by basically saying, we were the super team from a year ago,
right,
and it failed so spectacularly. We're not going to be that this year. The Jets are going to be that this year.
No. You're making a leap. He didn't say the Jets are going to be that this year. He said that the Jets are, if they don't put the work in, they're going to be like that Washington team with Deion, the Eagles dream team when Vince Young declared them a dream team in 2011. They signed like 11. Yeah, they paid Nnamdi Asomugha more money than anyone ever, and they were 8-8 too. I just looked up their record. He's not saying the Jets are definitely going to be that, but he said the Jets are setting up like that. And if the Jets don't put in the work, like the Broncos did last year, they're going to be this year's version of the Broncos. It's sort of a warning shot. He's sort of helping coach those poor Jets, giving some advice.
Yeah, sure. A little different when you got Aaron Rodgers coming in and putting this big bear hug around the team. You think they're not going to work hard? Rodgers is taking less money to give the double middle finger to the Packers front office. And I don't know how the Packers fans are feeling about this today, but I can't imagine it's very good because you have Rodgers, who is not exactly committing, but almost all but committing to 2 years. Meanwhile, wouldn't commit to multiple years to Devontae Adams, and it's one of the reasons Adams is no longer in a Packers uniform. One of the reasons he's no longer. Maybe not the only, but one of the reasons. And the fact that Rodgers took almost every penny he could when he was in Green Bay and now is not going to do that for the Jets because now it's a legacy play, I'd feel a little way about that if I were a Packer fan. I don't know if they're feeling that way. That's how I would feel.
I think Packers fans were done with Rodgers. And
if they definitely are.
If they needed him to take a pay cut to get out the door, great. I don't see a lot of lamenting Rodgers being gone. Honestly, he had to take less money. Otherwise, the Jets were never going to do this. He was getting, $110 million for 2 seasons?
That's the front office. Stop giving him so much money if you want him out the door. Stop handing him millions and millions and gajillions of dollars.
They admitted they screwed up. They gave him too much money, and then they're like, well, we got to get this guy out of here. So the Packers are Packers are thrilled. You don't think that front office is celebrating? They're like, yes, fine. Go to whatever for the Jets. You're not our headache anymore. So, and that's exactly, here's the thing. It's exactly like last year. You think it's different now. Last year at this time, we're saying finally Russell Wilson gets to cook. Nobody was saying Russell Wilson's going to have one of the worst seasons in NFL history. Yeah. Everyone was saying, well, look at this, kumbaya. Everyone, they got Nathaniel Hackett, who's Mr. Personality. Everyone loves Nathaniel Hackett. And they got Russell Wilson. He's finally going to be able to show his true skills. Nobody saw the dark clouds. You're seeing only the bright sun coming through the Jets facility in New York, or New Jersey, rather, when the reality is Sean Payton's right. They haven't done anything. They've won a bunch of press conferences. Nothing positive has happened in New York yet because they haven't played a single game. There's nothing. This is nothing.
Okay, but there are fewer obstacles and hurdles now in retrospect than what the Broncos were dealing with.
Did you know one of those obstacles last year at this time? A single one?
No, but I can see them in hindsight where
that'll happen in New York
But here's the thing. We did say Nathaniel Hackett is a first-time head coach. You never know how that's going to go. Now, Robert Saleh, I don't think is any genius head coach. At least it's not his first freaking season. And he's also he's not great, but he's not a disaster. Here's what Sean Payton said about last year's coaching staff and Nathaniel Hackett. He said, everyone's got a little stink on their hands from last year. It's not just Russell. It was a poor offensive line. It might have been one of the worst coaching jobs in the history of the NFL. That's how bad it was. The history of the NFL, right. And he's not wrong.
Wait. Yeah. And you don't see the speed bumps in New York? You just said one right there.
No, but Saleh's not in his first season.
But look who his offensive coordinator is.
Well, I don't know. Nathaniel Hackett could not get a play in last year.
So definitely should have gone for it.
We knew he was due.
Okay, so you're saying he's the worst coach, and now he's the offensive coordinator in New York. I could see a speed bump right there. If he's such an idiot, then he's now your coordinator? This is something to be excited about?
No, but in Green Bay, he was an offensive coordinator, and it did work. He doesn't have that top job anymore. We've had this partnership with Rodgers, and it's been fruitful for Rodgers winning MVPs. I just think for Peyton, this was a howitzer.
Yeah.
He basically said this Jets team is going to be last year's Broncos, and that was an embarrassment and a failure.
I don't think he's actually saying that. I think he's saying you can't win anything in March, and I think he's pointing. And I don't think he's saying the Jets are going to fail. I'm just saying everything that we're hearing now in the media about how great the Jets are, it doesn't mean anything. It's totally meaningless. And the thing is, you say that you don't see the roadblocks. Guess what happened to the Broncos? 3 key players got injured. That could easily happen in the Jets, and then we'll know what the roadblocks are. So his point is you never know what's going to happen. You can't win anything in the offseason.
Okay. Since the Dan Snyder brought Deion Sanders in 2000 and, tried to make a dream team, since your Philadelphia Eagles tried to make a dream team and it didn't work, what has happened since then? 2 dream teams won the Super Bowl.
No.
Yes.
First of all, show me the headline that says the Rams have built a dream team. When they traded for Savage. Show me that the words dream team and Rams.
But what was the roster at the end of the year? The roster was Aaron Donald might be the greatest inside defensive lineman of all time.
Right.
It's possible. Cooper Kupp could have won and probably should have won MVP that year. You did trade for Jalen Ramsey. They were all in. No one said dream team. It was F them picks and all in the trade for Stafford. That essentially was a dream team.
But you just said at the end of the season. I'm saying before the season.
Odell Beckham, I forgot about that trade.
I don't think that was not a dream team like this is dream team. It was
that
not.
Rams team was probably more of a dream team.
It was not a march of, oh my God, the Rams. They weren't even favorites. I mean,
okay, but
also last year, by the way, you said the Broncos were not a dream team last year. The win total on the Broncos before the year was higher than the Jets is this year. Everyone expected the Broncos to absolutely roll last year.
Yeah.
The Jets are 9.5 wins.
Well, that's also because you have greatest coach in your division. You do have Josh Allen in the division. You have Miami in the division.
Yeah, but I mean, nothing like we were hyping the AFC West last year. Last year, the AFC West signed everybody. Remember, last year, everyone was high on the Raiders. Everyone was high on the Chargers. Everyone was high on the Broncos. Nothing that happens in March, if anything.
Well, the Chargers did make the playoffs. I mean, it was terrible when they got there, but they were a playoff team.
But you know what I mean? Like, those were the huge winners of the spring and the offseason. And then once the season starts, everything changes.
I think Sean Payton's going to end up eating these words because you have now just offered the bulletin board material to Aaron Rodgers, somebody who, when his former team had the audacity to draft Jordan Love, he went out and won 2 MVPs. And you kept paying him, and it led to all of this in the first place. And a lot of the bad vibes were for years, but the bad vibes really started from the Jordan Love draft pick. So now you've given Rodgers, who is clearly making a legacy play here, who's clearly is willing to put money to the side. I mean, he's made enough of it in his career. Clearly willing to put money to the side to try to win here in New York, and you just gave him a little bit extra. Nathaniel Hackett, that's his boy. Like, that's his dude. He feels like they're friends on like a cosmic level. And Sean Payton just said he was the worst coach in the history of the NFL.
Aaron Rodgers is a 40-year-old quarterback. He needs bulletin board material?
Did he need it the year that Jordan Love got drafted when he was 38?
Well, if so, it's not great. And also, there's so little rivalry. I know they play each other this year. There's nothing between the Broncos and the Jets. They might as well be in different universes. There's no rivalry there. It's an AFC West team against an AFC East team. Do you think they're even on each other's consciousness?
Yeah.
They're pretty far away.
So Robert Saleh responded, because that's the one thing. They might not be division rivals, but we live in a 24/7 media world where it's going to be really hard to ignore. So here was Saleh when asked about Peyton's comments.
Well, I'm not going to acknowledge Sean on that. He's been in the league a while. He can say whatever the hell he wants. But I kind of live by saying, if you ain't got no haters, you ain't popping. So hate away. Obviously, we're doing something right if you got to talk about us when we don't play you till week 4. There's a lot of people who are hating on us. There's a lot of people looking for us to fail. There's a lot of crows pecking at our neck. But all you can do is spread your wings, keep flying high until those crows fall off and suffocate from the inability to breathe.
All right, got a little convoluted at the end there. Is this David Attenborough? The Nature Channel.
Hey, could I answer that question if I'm Robert Saleh?
Yeah.
I mean, I understand what Sean Payton's saying. That guy's won a lot in the NFL. I hope to win a lot in the NFL someday. I'm not talking about crows pecking our neck. Like, you haven't won anything, Robert Saleh. Nothing. You won a little bit in San Francisco, but I would just say, I wouldn't say anything almost. I'd be like, Sean Payton's a great coach and leave it at that. Well, he's like, who's Robert Saleh to say a single thing about anything?
Well, he didn't, but he's just now he's lumping in Sean Payton.
He said we have a lot of haters, and I can't wait to prove him wrong or something.
Yeah, but he said he respects Sean Payton, but he said we have a lot of haters, and Sean Payton sounds like a hater here. See, here's the reason why Sean Payton sounds like a hater, and I like Sean Payton, but Here's why he sounds like a hater. The reporter didn't ask about the Jets.
It's a print report. You do not know the whole context.
I don't feel like Jarrett Bell is driving me wrong here. Is doing something here. I can tell you exactly what's preceding it. He's talking about how the Broncos were an unmitigated disaster the year before. He said they became a laughingstock last season. And he said, and this is Sean Payton's quote, "It doesn't happen often where an NFL team or organization gets embarrassed, and that happened here. Part of it was their own fault relative to spending too much time to win the offseason, the PR, the pomp and circumstance. And we're not doing any of that this year. The Jets did that this year. You watch, Hard Knocks, all of it. I can see it coming." They didn't ask about the Jets. They were asking about you. And so stay on you. What's that line? Till your own field or whatever. Like, he went out of his way. He took a left turn in the car to run over the Jets. And I think he's going to end up eating it.
I don't think, first of all, the next line by Jarrett Bell, the hunch here is that Payton could care less about making the Jets or anybody else in Baltimore. Because the Jets are not an issue for Sean Payton. He's in the same division with Patrick Mahomes. What does he care about the Jets?
Yeah, exactly.
They're nothing to him.
Maybe he's focusing a little bit more on the Chiefs.
He could be talking about Lionel Messi and MLS. He cares about that as much as the Jets are not in the Broncos' radar. Not even close.
Sean Payton is not a fool. He worked in the media last year. He was a head coach in New Orleans for 15 years. He understands that when he says things, it's going to make news.
But he said something about a 7-win team who's getting way overhyped. I don't think that, honestly, if he'd said something about the Chiefs, then this would be a big deal. Saying something about the Jets, I mean, really. Name a Bronco. You're a Jets fan, Sam. Did you remember the Broncos and Jets ever having a classic showdown of any form whatsoever?
Yes, AFC Championship game, Elway versus Testaverde, 1998.
That was a big one.
That was a big one. Just leading at the half, and they lost. Should have won the Super Bowl.
1998, the Jets made the AFC title game. I don't remember that.
Testaverde came in, and they won 14-2, and they just
against the defending champion. What was the final score?
I think it was like it was low. It was like 17-10, something like that.
I don't. Well, okay, so all right, you're right. The animosity of 25 years ago.
But wasn't that Parcells who was coaching that Jets team, or am I wrong? I think it was.
It was 23-10 was the final, but the Jets were up 3-0 at the half.
Was that Parcells who was coaching the Jets on that team? There you go, Sean Payton disciple, off of Bill Parcells.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that I think Sean Payton, you're right, is smart. I think making the Jets mad is not really going to hurt him too much. I mean, it's the Jets and it's Denver. Honestly, I don't.
Here's the thing: if the Jets go on to win the Super Bowl, he's going to look stupid. And if the Jets go on and win the Super Bowl, the Packers fans, I feel like, are going to be apoplectic, and they should be.
I don't know. Are Patriots fans apoplectic that Tom Brady won in Tampa Bay?
Yes.
No.
They're mad at Belichick.
No, they're not. They're so psyched for Brady. I have tons of friends with Patriots.
Yeah, right. They're happy for Brady, and then they're looking at their own team, and even their owner, Robert Kraft, is like, I'm sick of not making, not being a factor in the playoffs or whatever, Robert Kraft. Now we get a Belichick on the hot seat rumor every day.
3 years later. But actually in 2000, I didn't feel like a lot of New England fans were like, oh, we're so sad they did. Because they knew very well that Patriots team wasn't headed in the direction of a Super Bowl with Tom Brady. They looked terrible in 19. There wasn't like I have tons of friends who are Patriots fans. They were not sad when Brady won. They were like, what are you doing, Robert Kraft?
Well, they also had 6 Super Bowl titles to the franchise. So you really can't get that upset. But you don't think now Patriots fans are like, we chose wrong?
No, we
should have kept Brady.
I don't think so because Brady was 45 years old. And I think the Packers fans are looking at Aaron Rodgers like, yeah, that'd be good if he wins one in New York, but you're going to have to move on at some point. I think they look at these guys are old. So what were the Packers just going to keep Aaron Rodgers and keep on losing in the playoffs?
What are they going to do with Jordan Love? They'll be happy to make the playoffs?
I think they knew it was time to, hey, we're going to have to move on from Aaron Rodgers eventually. This seems like Aaron Rodgers is happier. I think Packers fans, a lot of them are like pretty okay with this because they knew they were going to have to start over. This is the franchise that moved on from Favre to Rodgers in the first place.
But think about what you're saying there. Now you have Rodgers who's willing to take a pay cut, Rodgers who's committing tepidly to more years. It's like this is like the second wife. Like if you're married to somebody and you never want to go and you won't go on an airplane. I'm scared of flying. We can't go anywhere on vacation because I can't get on an airplane anywhere. And then all of a sudden you get divorced, get remarried, boom, trip to Japan. It's like, well, you wouldn't get on a plane with me. Now you're getting on a plane with her. This is like the second wife.
Well, no. This is like the man is Green Bay, and they had to look at this younger girlfriend. They need to decide, am I going to commit to my younger girlfriend?
Well, Rodgers kept taking their money.
Well, yeah, Rodgers is the ex-wife in this scenario, and Jordan Love's a young girlfriend, and they have to decide. Like, his option's coming up. So they had to look at him. I mean, what were they going to do? Just let Jordan Love go? Would never give him a shot?
He's done nothing.
Of course he's done nothing. He hasn't started, for the Green Bay Packers. They had to look at him, right? Or are they just going to let Jordan Love go and never figure that out?
Pick up the fifth-year option and figure it out. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. RPC says Maggie's mad as hell today, and I like it. Am I? I mean, a little bit. This is a little weird.
Are you a Jets fan? Can we just be? What is going on here?
Am I a Jets fan?
You just said all this. Like you say that you just said in this segment one of the craziest statements I've ever heard. You said there are no roadblocks. This is the Jets. There are roadblocks. We might not see them. This is the Jets, Maggie. They're giant, massive roadblocks. They're out there. We just don't have access to them.
I watched Tampa. I watched the Rams. I watched Tom Brady. I watched Matthew Stafford. You're telling me that Aaron Rodgers can't do this? You're crazy. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Laura, Maggie, this is not a reflection of your marriage. No, it's not. I'm happily married. First time.
I want to hear some Packers fans. I have not heard a lot of sad Packers fans. They are, come on. Our buddy Aaron Rodgers had to go. This was not going to last any longer.
Laura says, don't worry, your husband's not dumping you for a younger version.
I don't think Packers fans are necessarily upset that Rodgers left. I think now they're pissed that he just took this $35 million pay cut when they could have kept Devontae last year and could have ran it back. I think they're pissed today. They weren't pissed until today.
Are you seeing? I know a lot of people in New York are saying that. I'm not seeing that from a ton of people in Green Bay.
They're also in Green Bay. They're eating cheese. They're drinking beer. They're happy. They're just happy people.